Do you know what was the best moment of Nick Dunlap being on the in contention on Saturday and winning on Sunday?
What's that?
To me, was having Brandel Chambly actually have to mention Phil Mickelson
Oh,
on the PGA Tour broadcast. that made it so good for me. I was like, having him have to say Phil Mickelson.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 37 of the Loggerhead Golf podcast. Got a fun one this morning. Going to talk about this weekend, starting off with Nick Dunlap. Great win, amateur from University of Alabama. What'd you guys think?
It was pretty amazing. You don't see an amateur win on the PGA Tour very often.
I think you guys were talking about how many times has that happened?
9 times.
It's happened 9.
Yeah, it's incredible.
The craziest thing is you think about it because we say this is golf history. Golf history happened this past weekend. And how long have we been in the age of technology, launch monitors, more swing coaches to know what to do with? And you would think this may have happened more. I mean, the most prominent name to win as an amateur is Phil Mickelson.
I was going to say, like,
He's the last one.
The last one.
I think you have to say there's been 9 amateur winners on PGA Tour with an asterisk, though. Because, 4 or 5 of them have been before the 40s. That's not the modern game. I don't think that counts. Scott Verplank, Phil Mickelson, and now Nick Dunlap, I think are maybe the only 3 that are really, truly
Amateurs.
We could say amateurs of the
Not
modern
professional
game.
amateurs.
Well, I was going to say even in the 40s, there was a
Bobby Jones.
You don't know the qualifying criteria back then.
Right.
I mean, Nick got in on a sponsor's exemption.
Yeah.
How did Phil Mickelson get into to Tucson? Did he qualify? Did he Monday qualify in?
I'm pretty sure it was sponsor's exemption.
It was sponsor's
So,
exemption.
back in the 40s and 50s, 60s, I don't think they had sponsors exemptions.
And what was the
that,
PGA
so.
Tour then? It wasn't the same.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same strength of field. Half the guys out there might have been amateurs for all we know.
Yeah, I mean, you can say any win has an asterisk to it.
I mean, sure.
I mean, we talk about it in every sport. It has an asterisk to it.
I'm just saying an amateur winning on today's PGA Tour is much different than, I believe it was Gene. I was thinking the most recent one after or before Scott Verplank. It was I don't know. He's a master champion now. Gene Middlecroft. Is that the right name? Won as an amateur in 19.
I think it's Gary. Was it Gary Middlecroft?
I don't know. It was 1945. Okay, that's not the same golf world in 1945 as what it is right now.
Yeah, I mean we've all
won a bunch as an
You're
amateur.
right.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll get back to kind of Nick, but it makes you ask, why has it taken so many years since Phil Mickelson? You think it would happen more often? I think that you can give a lot of guys sponsors invites and they all equally have the same amount of chance as Nick Dunlap based off skill. Golf is so deep, as far as the skill level goes today. But it's one thing to actually show up and do it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And my whole take of the situation, obviously, my dad and I are big Alabama fans. So I was glued. Roll Tide. I was glued into the TV all weekend, but I've never watched the American Express event before. And that's kind of my point leading to. Nick Dunlap, I know you didn't get any money for winning this tournament. The PGA Tour owes you all the money that was generated from the viewership because you brought it. That tournament was going to suck. It was a snooze fest. The leaderboard was terrible. For the most part.
I'm sure he'll be taken care of.
I mean, we know the PGA Tour now has deep pockets. Yeah. We know. They hold on to money. They gave it to Rory.
American Express probably gave him a nice little gift, bonus, whatever.
Little $100 gift card.
Maybe a black card.
I mean, his shop credit might have been $750.
Yeah.
But the total money coming in was
So he probably got an NIL deal from
100%.
Amex.
I mean, and for those of you that don't know, Nick Dunlap won the most recent U.S. Amateur. So this isn't to be surprised.
I was going to ask, were there signs pointing to Nick Dunlap having the kind of game to go out and win immediately on the PGA Tour?
Yes. I mean, and it's not so much now we look at college tournaments as big wins. He's only won individually, I think 3 times, but he's always been a top player. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's only been in college for 2 years.
Times.
He's only been in college. Yeah, I say he's only. So
you and I both play college golf. No. It's pretty tough to win.
It is tough. It's tough to win out there, but to show up though with how young he is in the huge tournaments. He's won the U.S. Junior Am. He's won the U.S. Am. He actually won the DJ World Junior down at Myrtle Beach. The kid knows how to win.
Yeah.
And what you can kind of see is he's winning more when he's playing for himself than when he's playing with his team. And that's kind of like the disconnect between
Saying his
golf.
team's holding him down?
No, not at all. Because Alabama is now one of the top golf programs in the country. I mean, thanks to players like Bud Colley, Justin Thomas, those guys. That
I was going to
built it up.
ask, how much do you think being paired on Sunday with Justin Thomas helped him?
And Sam Burns. Sam Burns had RTR on the side of his head.
JT said something like,
That's right, Burns is
I had to shoot 30
guy.
under.
No, he's not. He's at
LSU.
LSU. He lost a bet.
I was gonna say, if you have RTR and you go to LSU, you lost that bet.
No, he's LSU. I mean, but SEC's different. Like, even though you hate each other,
It's
you're
still a
still
little
a
bit of
tight. You're a
brotherhood, yeah.
tight knit group.
But I don't know. It had to have helped him quite a bit staying comfortable.
1,000%.
JT was talking to him down every fairway.
But also JT wasn't just saying like lighthearted stuff. He was jabbing.
Yeah.
Saying some things. So it proves that to win on tour, you have to be competitive.
Oh, yeah.
And they talked to J.C. Well, which, again, a little biased, but the head coach of Alabama says a lot of things that Nick Saban says.
Yeah.
Right. And then obviously they brought Nick Saban on the broadcast to talk about Nick. And all they kept saying was compete.
Well, I mean, if you're the golf coach of Alabama and you've had access for how many years to one of the greatest coaches of all time, how do you not take that as a resource to learn? You know what I mean?
And a football coach that loves golf.
Right,
So,
yeah.
I think it works in backwards too. But I mean, if he wouldn't have won this event, then what's the conversation coming out of it? Just another college kid that he played well, but it takes so much effort to get over the hump on the tour. What struck me as odd is like Saturday when he kept talking about, well, what do you hope to get out of it? And he's like, I just want to learn.
Yeah.
I want to learn. Well, what are you learning?
Well,
you're the reigning USM champ.
Well, I think that's-
you've played in major tournaments.
I think that's still managing expectations a little bit.
He's and I think the learning part is learning what do you do with your time outside of the golf course. He's not going to learn anything more on the golf course. The kid shot 60 in 2 rounds of 60 in the last 10 days. He was playing with his team in a practice round, shot 60. So, he's not going to learn anything more on the golf course. I think he's more or less learning the ropes around the PGA Tour.
Just stay away from Tiger.
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow. No comment.
But
By the way, if they're listening, that logo is awful.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that because that was big news this
it was
weekend.
that bad.
Oh, it's
Is it on show and tell?
I don't know if you guys stayed on and watched his post round briefing in the media room.
I didn't watch the media room.
I mean, it took 2 questions for one reporter to ask, "Are you turning pro?"
Yeah.
And he said one thing that proves kind of his maturity, how he's had to been thinking of it, because he goes, it doesn't just affect me, it affects a lot of people. He goes, it affects my caddy, because his caddy, I believe, is an assistant coach that was on the bag with him. I mean, it affects, like he just kept saying, it affects a lot of people. I can't make that decision right now.
That's smart. Yeah.
It sounds like he has to make sure all those other people are okay with it, because you look at this now, what would you guys do in this situation? I know we can't really relate.
I'm saying you got to worry about it, but
yeah.
What's your ultimate goal? What is his ultimate goal?
Yeah.
You got to look
as a
at what your
20-year-old
ultimate goal
golfer?
is. Do you want to be a perennial PGA Tour star or player for that matter? And if you in any way, shape, or form say yes to that, right now he's got a 2-year exemption to the PGA Tour.
That starts today.
That starts, yesterday, I guess.
Or yesterday, yeah.
So
does that guarantee him success?
it guarantees him starts.
It guarantees him starts,
If
the
you
hardest thing on tour
if you
is
wait
to get
2 years
a
in
start.
college playing college golf and you come out of college, you have no guaranteed starts. I'm taking my starts. I
always
look at
go
it this
back and
way.
finish college.
You can always go back and finish school. And it's with night classes and
But
all
here's
that
the
stuff.
thing,
You could
though.
even do it while you're still
He would
playing.
lose, if he turns pro, he's going to lose his,
Don't matter. He'll get that
What
exemption
is he
back.
gonna lose?
well, he'll lose his ability to play college golf.
Oh, yeah.
But
I don't know. I mean, you take a look at. I mean, there's a lot of kids that have come out. There's a lot of Monday qualifiers that get their guaranteed starts and then they flame out.
yeah,
But
You
they
know,
didn't win.
yeah.
Well, I mean, at the same time, I mean, how many one-hit wonders are there out there?
But this is
Does it guarantee him more?
Well, this is where I'm a little different, because the easiest one-hit wonder, I mean, he's turned now to a full-time YouTube golfer, Wesley Bryan. Wesley Bryan hasn't won since 2017 or whatever, right? But a past PGA Tour still gives you, I think, like champion. Even if you don't have status, you get like 7 starts. So, and that's what we joke about, because we were beating up on Tommy Fleetwood. Tommy Fleetwood's the next Colin Montgomery. Never won on PGA Tour.
Right.
Think about how many great golfers haven't won a PGA Tour event. Nick Dunlap just did. So you are in a different bracket than everybody, and you're light years spaced away.
As much as we've beaten the horse about all these changes to the PGA Tour structure and everything else, being a winner on the PGA Tour gets you so much now. It's hard. You cannot pass that up, I don't think.
And that's the tough thing, for sure.
Playing 2 more years of college golf,
you
ain't
think
gonna
about
get him nothing.
Like Kayla, for an example, or just anybody that we know in this community that's trying to make it to the tour. It's so hard. And when you get an opportunity to go head first into it.
And he's not going to have to worry about money, because he's going to have enough sponsorship. I mean, he's already a huge, like, high up in the TaylorMade. He had TaylorMade everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's been on a lot of companies' radars. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, Goldman Sachs isn't on Patrick Cantlay's hat. Mm-hmm. Might be on this kid's, but it's such a cutthroat sport. I think in today's day and age, I mean, he was playing with a guy next to him in that final round that turned pro when he was 20.
Yeah.
Justin Thomas didn't finish college. His career worked out pretty good for him. Mm-hmm. I think a cool story is last notable, other than Justin Thomas, but like last notable Alabama golfer that had to make an immediate decision whether to stay amateur or turn pro, that had an awesome golf career. Who was it?
Don't know.
Jason Bone. You remember that name?
Yep.
He's a Bama guy?
He played at Alabama, played in a tournament, in a fundraiser tournament.
I remember that.
Made a hole-in-one, $1 million hole-in-one.
Yeah. Had to turn pro to take
to take the money.
Yeah.
And then he said, my game's the best it's ever been. Why not?
Yeah. That got his career started.
And now he has life membership.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like it'd be so hard to pass down the guaranteed starts you're going to have for 2 years.
Elevated events.
I mean,
the PGA Tour is changing. I mean, how many players have been playing on the PGA Tour for 5-10 years that aren't in these elevated events that are stressing right now?
I just think, I mean, you look at it too, though. I mean, in today's world of social media, of everything else, you know, it's almost like the minute he does do this, it's like, are 50% of the people going to be for him being successful, or 50% or more going to be hoping he fails?
So the Michael Block effect, essentially.
Basically, yeah.
This past year.
So there's a euphoria of him getting there, and then all of a sudden, the minute he starts to stumble, it's let's beat up on the kid. He wasn't ready. He should have stayed at Bama. He wasn't ready. You know,
that's what media is going to do.
Right.
But I mean, even if he waits 2 years, that's what they're going to do to him anyway if he stumbles.
Yeah, I mean, look at the guys that have come out on the PGA Tour U. I mean, Aberg was pretty much the poster boy for going through college and then getting out, and he won on the PGA Tour within 6 months.
He won in 6 events,
but he was also on the Ryder Cup team.
But why do you think he won in 6 events?
I think he was ready.
It's one, yes, his game was right. You're a top college player in the world. Your game's ready. Like,
is it? Because they're not winning right out of the womb.
Well, he won straight away in his. Was that his first PGA Tour start?
It was his 6th event.
Yeah.
6th event.
I mean,
but here's what I'm saying: he won in his 6th event. He was guaranteed 6 events.
Yeah.
He was guaranteed 8 events. So that's the thing. When you're guaranteed something, you don't have the pressure of getting in.
Right. Well, I guess you look at it the other way too. It's like go back to Cameron Young. I guess he's never going to win on tour.
Oh, well, did you see him destroy a green this weekend?
No, I didn't see him destroy it. But all I'm saying is that you got guys that come out. You're saying,
he played in Dubai and he missed a putt and slammed his putter on the green, destroyed the green.
Did he make it back out of the country?
That's. I mean,
might not.
I mean, you remember what happened with Sergio in the bunker?
Oh yeah,
this was a green.
But I mean, you look at guys that have been on the stage, that have had success. They've contended for majors and everything else, and they haven't won. You know, so it's not like I'm not ready. I think it's great for Nick. I'm just ready not to anoint him the next.
I don't think anyone is.
I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say he's going to finish the year as a FedEx Cup champion.
Yeah, that's not what I'm trying to say.
That's not realistic.
I just say realistically, he's a PGA Tour winner, and he's
He's
a
light
huge
years
door
ahead.
opened up for him, and he needs to walk through and take advantage of.
Do you know what was the best moment of Nick Dunlap being on the in contention on Saturday and winning on Sunday?
What's that?
To me, was having Brandel Chambly actually have to mention Phil Mickelson
Oh,
on the PGA Tour broadcast. that made it so good for me. I was like, having him have to say Phil Mickelson.
Yeah.
They couldn't dance around it.
Oh, you had to talk about it.
you had to talk
They
about
tried
it.
on Saturday. They
Yeah.
tried to dance around it, and then finally it was like Phil Mickelson.
And Phil Mickelson reached out and was saying he accomplished something that very few people has, and he needs to cherish every single bit of it. And then, like Phil Mickelson said it, Taylor Gooch said it, a lot of players did it. He goes, "Go get a finance advisor.
Yeah.
Go build your team up." I mean, perfect example. He made a joke because a reporter asked, "Is like, you got homework to do?" He goes, "Yes, but I'm not going to do it." And he didn't come here to play school. It's and again, it's cool to have these conversations because we don't get this in golf. We get the same note, and I don't want to beat the tournament down, but kudos to that sponsor's invite, whoever's running that tournament, to give Nick Dunlap a shot because you, sir, you saved your tournament.
I said we went from
That tournament was going to suck.
We went from basically, if you remove Dunlop, there would have been realistically no storyline coming out of that.
Christian Bezedno, who played an outrageous
he
final
did.
round to make birdie on 18.
Sam Burns, double. I'm sorry. You're a Ryder Cup PGA Tour winner, and you missed a green from what,
You
164
dunk it in
yards
the water and then dunk it in the water
with a
again.
one-stroke lead.
I've seen you
Last
do
two
it.
holes. Yeah. It's happened. It's
Well,
happened to
first of all,
to greater
I
players.
guarantee I had a one-stroke lead at the time. And second of all, there's not millions of dollars on the line.
How expensive were those last two holes?
Oh, how much did that
But
cost him?
Bezedno would have been an
He had a
awesome
great
winner,
finish,
but
yeah.
out of
I mean-
nowhere, no one would have known it. And,
But that
and
storyline would have not have carried as long as what this one will.
well, this is going to carry for a long time.
This will be probably the talk for the year. As a kind of a side note too, I know we gave JT a hard time last year, and especially with the Ryder Cup. But what do we feel about his game now?
It's coming around.
He played that. He played well that.
So
tournament.
we're getting
he
back.
finished strong in that event too.
We're getting back to the JT that won the PGA, where he didn't hit perfect shots, but scored well.
scored well. Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. You can look at the last 5 holes of golf tournament, and you can tell who's playing golf or who's playing golf.
And let's face it, if you shoot 25, 26 under par in 4 rounds of golf, you're scoring pretty well. All right?
You're hitting the ball.
You're hitting the ball pretty
well.
good. I mean,
You've played that golf course. That's
The other thing that shocked
plus it's
me.
a die course. It's not like it's easy.
The other thing that shocked me on watching the 2 days of coverage was actually the minimal amount of fairway shots you had on 18. Those guys couldn't hit that fairway with a 3-wood. I mean, they were so afraid of that water.
It's a
down the
tough
left
tee
side.
shot, but
Is it?
I feel like they were making it harder than what it should have been.
Pete Dye number 18s that always have left down the center or water down the left side and big mounting hills on the right. They're never easy.
But no, but you challenge.
Trust me, when I played Sawgrass, I blew it way right into the trees.
You challenge Sawgrass. I mean, you challenge that with the driver.
You blow
challenge
it right
that.
on anything.
He thought, but he said it. He thought
this
he had
one-
a 2-shot lead.
No, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about Xander Schauffele.
Sam Burns.
The kid he missed it. He's the greatest driver of the ball we've ever seen. Boop,
Yeah.
blocked it right.
4 right.
Yep. It's just.
I went right too.
Yeah.
I definitely blocked it right.
But
now-
at the same time, they're hitting 3-woods.
But that's like now JT,
You know
to
what I
his
mean?
credit, stood up there and
JT
striped
hit
it
it
down the middle of the fairway.
So the first thing I did when I saw that, because Nick Dunlap flared his 3-wood,
Yeah.
I was like, JT just made that tee shot look so damn easy.
know.
He drew it right into the trouble.
It might have been Brandel Chambly that said it's easy when you're not in contention. I was like, Shh. He's still in top 5. I mean, like,
JT, I mean, he made birdie to get inside the top 5, which is a lot of money,
big difference.
and a lot of FedEx Cup points when you know who's going to win
Right.
isn't getting any.
And then Sam
FedEx
Burns
Cup
said, "Hey,
points.
Brandel, hold my beer."
yeah.
I'll show you.
I say, a side note too, the fairway wood that Dunlop hit on 18 where he flared it right. Was there any chance that had 172 mile an hour ball speed?
Stop watching Top Tracer, and I have Callaway on my hat, who Top Tracer I guess is owned by or whatever. Their numbers are so damn phony. You're not getting 172 ball speed.
I saw
off
that
of
ball
a
speed. I just was like,
250-yard flare.
No chance.
You know what I like to call that
Maybe
shot?
152.
A little Chardonnay fade. I mean, just no.
That's a little bit more
shot.
than Chardonnay fade.
And then Callaway, please stop with the smoke ball tracer, please.
That's not Callaway. That's NBC.
But
That's
it's AI smoke Callaway. That's why they do the smoke ball tracer.
it's fast.
Had a vapor trail.
Wow. All right. Speaking of which, we're going to get into a topic that we discussed. I think it's going to be interesting for everybody to hear. But you can't buy a game. Now, as you know, Loggerhead, this is what we do every day, is fit people for golf clubs. So we want to kind of go a little bit more in depth exactly what that means. There's a wholesome approach that when we created this facility, that it's not just getting golf clubs. Everybody out there can go and pick one off the shelf, but I think we can all agree that once you actually get it dialed in for you and your specific needs and your game, golf course that you're playing, but it's also so much more. You can have the best equipment in the world.
Sam Burns.
Yep. But if you don't know how to use that equipment,
still got to hit the ball.
You know. So I think you have to have a wholesome approach where you have to have an instructor. There's physical fitness involved with that. I mean, there's going to be times where you're going to plateau because you just physically can't do something. So what do you guys think?
I was going to say, so what's the main reason why we wanted to talk about this, right?
I was going to say, why do we say you can't buy a game? Because, I mean, theoretically speaking,
you can. Well,
we all do.
Right.
It just may not be a good game.
Money to have golf clubs.
Like you can't buy a game. Yeah.
The main reason why we wanted to bring up this topic is as you've seen, our tech reviews have been coming out of all the new product. We're almost pretty much through majority of the new stuff that's out for 2024, and we want to make sure we put the right information out there. Because Callaway, TaylorMade, Mizuno, the companies are going to say that their drivers are worth $600, their irons are worth $200 a head now for a specific reason. And they're trying to make their marketing blanketed to cover every single golfer. So any golfer can walk up, buy their stuff off the rack, and the company themselves says it's going to help you.
Which in theory, I mean...
Probably will.
It will.
Probably will. But if you got new irons a year ago, right? We got or 2 years ago, we want to make sure you know that. I said it the other day in our meeting. 3 miles per hour of ball speed is a lot, right?
As far as gains, yeah.
As far as and we see it every now and then in our fittings. We see it every now and then on TV, things like that. That when someone hears only 2 miles per hour, 3 miles per hour ball speed, 4 miles per hour ball speed.
Well, what is 3 miles an hour ball speed? What's that translate to?
For every mile per hour is 3 yards.
Right.
So that's 9 yards.
About 9 yards.
Which is a full club.
Which is a full club.
Yeah. I was going to say, is 9 yards a significant change?
To me, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Of course it is.
I mean... The difference
and then you take that stronger lofted club, and is he looking real good?
Like, if you think about
stronger lofts don't mean distance; it just means a better dynamic launch.
How much? Because we get
I think
what you're hitting at or working towards here is that with some of the marketing material that manufacturers provide or put out there while PGA Tour coverage is on, and you're watching the commercial for the new driver that's out, and they're showing you it going 20, 30 yards further supposedly. We start setting a precedent for that's the kind of gain we should make. However, a 9-yard gain is huge.
I mean, realistically, if you're getting fit for a new driver, you should only expect, right? I think if your driver's outdated by 4 years, 3 years, I would go ahead and assume and be prepared that with a proper fitting, you're probably going to gain at least minimum 10 to 15 yards. But the 20 to 30 yard gains, that's because they handed that guy on that commercial a wet noodle that's not his current driver, that's spinning at 4,000 RPMs, and is
there's been something tweaked to make that change happen.
I think for me, just looking at it, especially like with Callaway and even TaylorMade. TaylorMade did the forgiveness a little while ago.
Well, that was last year,
right?
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is like with the Callaway driver, it's like they're almost selling that to the guy that doesn't hit the center of the club face.
Right.
They're telling you that
all companies are now.
Correct. Yeah, so before it was like you saw that biggest gain when the marketing center face flush hit, man, that was solid. Well, maybe I do that once every round of golf. Everything else is around the center of the club face. So if somebody comes and says, hey, this driver's going to get you 20 yards. Yeah, that one time I hit it in the center. But now it's like, okay, well, that driver's going to gain you 9 yards, 10 yards with those off-center hits and, not the flush shot. I think that's where the marketing is, and they're doing a great job of that, is showing you exactly we all don't hit it in the same spot every single time.
Right. Well, when you think about, just on the center strikes, for example, we've been maxed out on how fast the club face can be.
Yep.
And how fast a golf ball can be for a while now. The club face, the COR, coefficient of restitution, has been maxed since 2005.
That's a big word.
So as far as how much the golf club face can spring and trampoline effect, that's been maxed out since 2005, basically going on 20 years now. And then the size of the club head has been maxed out since around that same time. It was either a 05, 06 when USGA stepped in and put 460 cc's as a limit.
If you've never hit the Titleist howitzer before, you're missing out.
So, those parameters are kind of defined right now. On the center face strike, every driver is just as fast. They all push that threshold. So where they're moving into is to make the toe miss be a little faster. You don't lose as much ball speed on a off center strike as what you did with that driver from 2005. Your centerness of contact going from a dime size in 05 to maybe a quarter now.
Oh, let's keep it fresh. I think the heel and toe strikes on these 2024 drivers are better than
for sure.
Probably not. A little better than last year's versions, but I would say essentially if your driver is out of probably that came out anytime before and no later than 2021, end of 2021, your driver is way behind.
Yeah,
Way behind. And that's just because of how the forgiveness. That's the blanketed term, but
has the ball allowed the driver to become that since it doesn't spin as much? Before it was bulge and roll. On the old drivers, and gear effect irons way back in the day.
And this is
to control it. But now the ball's not going as far.
The design
offline.
of the golf club is 100% predicted or defined by the golf ball and how it performs.
Correct.
I think that's why everybody's quest to 10,000 MOI is why it's been because everybody's trying to get forgiveness now. We've kind of hit the plateau of distance. Now we're trying to see what happens when we hit those toes and hit those heel misses. How far can we make it go?
I love a good toe ball.
We don't.
Those toe hooks go really far.
Mine are toe fades.
Oh.
If you watch a TaylorMade video, you'll see.
I think
Mine are heel draws.
I think we should also too clarify when a manufacturer is saying that they are reaching, because we have several different models of drivers now that market that they've reached 10K, and I forget what the unit is they're using for that, but 10K in MOI.
Well,
right.
You brought up a good point about it last week, so explain. Because technically speaking, the USGA has a rule, right, that they can't exceed
5,900.
5,900.
So the USGA rule states that a driver's forgiveness or MOI factor cannot exceed 5,900. USGA measures it in one direction, so from heel to toe across the face. So heel to toe across the face, none of those drivers exceed 5,900 MOI. But they're measuring their 10K by measuring in different directions across the face and top to bottom. The cumulative total of those two directions reaches 10K.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very. Well done.
Learn something new every day.
I know.
Science.
So I can't show up on the first tee when I see another player using it and be like, DQ. That'd be a good conversation.
Yeah.
Just go up and ask to test that driver. Can you please test that driver? I think it's got a little bit more.
Kind of leaning on where we fit into that whole program of purchasing a new golf club, purchasing a new driver. How important is that fitting process to maximizing the gains you can get?
I think it's
Can you just go to pick a golf club off the rack and get the absolute best performing driver for you? Or
no, not a chance.
Not a chance.
You might get lucky. You might. But how do you know?
Yeah.
I would say the only way I think you could is if you've actually had a good fitting. You kind of know, and your swing hasn't really changed, and you know where you need to stick with as far as face angle and shaft.
I'm sorry,
maybe, but
how do I know my blood pressure's high?
That's fair.
Right?
I was going to say
a blood pressure cuff, and I go to the doctor, get it checked.
Look at me. It's all
I can't know that driver's better than last year's model unless I see the numbers. Numbers don't lie.
True.
I was gonna say, to your point too, even if you've been fit and you know kind of where you want us to be in the loft and you know what shafts you
Swing
like.
every driver's different.
I mean,
yes.
I was just in last week kind of testing some of these new drivers. I won't say why I was testing them, but I was testing them. And I would, with one model, I would throw a shaft in there, get really good results. Go to another driver, throw that same shaft into the other, different model, and I couldn't hit it off the center of the face to save my life. Throw a different shaft in there. Sometimes maybe wouldn't have normally grabbed, but throw a different shaft in there. All of a sudden, center strike happens again.
I'm going to have to change shafts this year because I tried to plug in my hazardous into the new QI.
Just because you got fit last year for one driver, loft, and shaft doesn't mean that if you're going into this year's driver that same shaft's going to carry over.
The shaft I have in my driver that I've been playing for 2 years doesn't work at all in the new smoke driver head that I have.
Right.
So I had to go back to the drawing board.
It changes.
I try it because I know the feel, I know the timing.
That's the other point too. We're sitting here talking in generalities, but in essence, you're talking to every golfer as an individual. Mm-hmm. Because you can't put everybody in a bucket of the AI smoke is the best driver. No. Because we all have different goals. We all have different expectations of the game of golf and what we want to put into it and what we want to get out of it. So I think that's your job is to bridge that gap, with every individual person that, again, we can have 100 people come through the door and we're not going to say the Callaway driver is the best for you. I mean, it's going to change every single time because what do I want to get out of the game, what I want to put into the game is very different.
Every golfer is different. Like you said, there's different guys come in. They don't want to spend $600 on a driver. We have brands here that you don't have to spend that much.
There are options for that.
There's options.
I get it because I want to gain distance. How much do you want to practice? Oh, I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's part of the reason why we wanted to bring this up because again we're saying this topic in front of our owner and general manager. Numbers are really the only thing that matter.
I was going to say, to me, I think the perfect example of, and to kind of throw it back to what you did with the QI10 video, right? I don't know if you've watched it, but what happened when you were testing the QI10 for the video?
Oh, I mean, I couldn't play the standard. On the LS head, I couldn't play the standard 9-degree with like no settings adjustments and no weight adjustments.
You had to make some changes to make that driver work for you, right?
Quite a few changes to make it work. Now, how often do you see a player hit 3 balls with that one head?
By the end of it, though, what'd you say?
Huh?
By the end of that changes you made, by the end of that video, what did you say?
I can compete with my smoke.
Right.
I can play. I can put it in the bag immediately. That
shows you how important the driver fitting is, or fitting in general. Period.
Yeah, and I would say, too, in that QI video, I only tried one shaft.
Right.
But that being said, and that's the biggest thing. You can find the right shaft for a person. That's my job as a fitter. That's Caleb's job as a fitter, is to find that right shaft. And then it's plug and play in the head. And then you could see a 30-yard difference just based off of, because I'm comparing something that was really bad to properly fit. Right. That's 30 yards. Now, a center strike really that works with all heads, right now, they're going to be within 10 yards of each other. Yep. And that's the realization. We wanted to bring this up because 4 miles per hour ball speed is 12 yards, no matter which way you look at it. That being said, if you're adding 3 degrees of loft and swinging 6 degrees left, every single golf club in the world is going to go the same distance. So, and that's where we're saying money can't really buy a game, but investing money into your game.
Investment in your game.
Yeah, investment in your game can change everything.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what it comes down to. Because we're getting into, now here in North Carolina, we're having winter for the first time in a while. Lord. So no one's playing golf.
Brutal cold.
Now, we have seen quite a few people maybe coming in, tweaking some things. I think end of February, March, once it gets warmer, we're going to see really kind of across the board what these newer clubs can do.
Yeah, once the golf bug really hits.
And I think what's even more outstanding is the shaft technology. Now it's not necessarily you got the heads coming out, but then you look at, the new Velocor coming out. The new the red 1K.
Have they announced what that is yet?
No, I don't think they did. But
it's a Carolina blue color, which is my favorite.
But it's like,
if it looks good, I'm gonna try it. Okay.
I mean, the shaft technology is just changing. Changing leaps and bounds. Mm-hmm. Whether it be the speeder is out there too. I mean, I think I got 3 shafts in my bag right now that fit in one ping head. So it's just like, it's like
those are rookie numbers.
I didn't say what I got at the house. I got some shafts at the house.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've got a whole fitting cart at my house.
But I mean, that's the technology that's just so intriguing now.
Yeah.
They are really stepping up the game. As far as the aftermarket shafts go.
Yeah,
and this all kind of stems to of you got to play golf. You gotta learn how to kind of figure out what your own individual goals are. I mean, we talk about it in our lessons with our students. Like you have to kind of blend everything together, because if you're not willing to learn anything or improve anything in your golf game, but you want to buy a new club, well, we're going to go ahead and say right out of the gate, the expectations need to be changed a little bit, because as golfers, we always have to improve. We talked about it at the beginning, but Nick Dunlap said an awesome thing that I think can resonate to club fitting is at La Quinta, where he shot 60 on Saturday. He played a shot where he hit a 5-iron into a par 5. Didn't think he could ever in the world hook a ball, and the ball hooked. It's a shot he would never try. It just hooked, rolled on the green, rolled up to 20 feet, made the eagle putt. He goes, but when I'm playing a normal round of golf with buddies, it's a perfect 3-iron, right? But what I'm trying to get to the point of that is that's not a shot he was trying to hit. That's not a thing that was even really a possibility. Him and his caddy didn't talk about that result. Sometimes you just got to take what golf gives you and then learn how to play with it. Right. So we can't expect to go out on the golf course. I mean, what's the average handicap of a golfer now? Like 16?
Still close to 18.
Yeah,
18?
closer to 18. Yeah.
Closer to 18. I mean, as an 18 handicap, you're going to maybe find the center of the face once. So why are we going to expect our driver to go 255 every single time if we know that's our perfect strike? Yeah. But if we can make sure that our 225 miss isn't spinny, isn't hooking or fading,
isn't moving 30 yards left or right,
isn't going to move
play,
and it's
in
in
play,
you are going to score
much better.
Much better.
I mean, how many times have you had a customer that comes in and actually hits it fairly in the center consistently, but is past about 8 degrees outside in?
Often.
I'm almost there.
Yeah.
And they're like, why don't I hit it further? Well, 'cause your side spin rate is about 2,800.
It's almost as great. It's greater than your actual backspin.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, spin axis, right?
Yeah.
It's just it's such a tough game, and we want to make sure that small gains can lead to easily 4 to 6 shots better in a round.
Yeah.
Because we got to get back into actually equating fitting into scores.
Yep.
And how you're playing on the golf course. Because I think with all this newer technology, we're just hoping that we hit the ball, we bomb it.
Yeah, we're getting lost in the numbers sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of that too is that some of the old stats are outdated now. Fairways and regulation it's a dinosaur now.
It meant a lot this weekend.
Yeah.
At the same time, did it? I mean,
that's true.
That
That's
Bermuda
fair.
rough,
That's fair.
you had balls looking
It was
pretty
sitting
darn
down.
good.
True. That
It's
was
distance.
distance. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Proximity to the hole.
there was no rough on that golf.
Well, I mean, stats say the closer you are to the hole, the better score you're going to make.
It doesn't say from the fairway, from the rough.
Nope.
It says closer to the hole.
But what it doesn't,
Proximity to the hole.
but you don't want to hit it in hazard or
Well,
penalty
no,
area
yeah.
or out of bounds. Like it's still got to be in play.
Really?
Strokes gains take the
Man, that's what I'm missing.
Yeah.
Which at the bottom of your bag is just as important as the top end. I mean, we've got to make sure that the wedges are properly gapped, that you have the right bounce, just the right grooves. I mean, sometimes we want to put that gap wedge because you're always full swinging that gap wedge, and it aligns with the pitching wedge lofts.
Yeah.
And then we might be moving into more wedge grooves when we go down to that gap or that sand wedge and lob wedge. And why do we want a lob wedge? A lot of people don't. I can't tell you how many clients stop at sand wedge.
With this
like,
new golf ball, you have to have a lob wedge.
Yep.
I'm sorry. It's just the ball isn't spinning as much on those short shots as it used to.
Yep. I know.
And that's where loft will kind of be your friend a little bit. It's scary.
And don't leave the putter out.
Yeah, putter is.
It's a year ball striking.
Everybody
It's a year.
I agree
ball,
with
it's
that. I
a year
agree with
ball
Nicky.
striking.
I agree with
You
Nicky.
got to
Year
get to
ball
the green
striking.
before you can worry about putting.
I say Steve wants to forget about a putter as quickly as he can.
Hey, I struck that putter a lot. You lay off.
No, but you're exactly right, Darryl. I mean, there's so much that goes into it But at the end of the day, I want to see, and this is where kind of just I challenge all golfers, is make decisions for your golf bag to shoot better scores.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't care about what scores you're shooting, that's different.
Then
right?
Make decisions about your golf bag that
I
you
don't
can
think
have
the
fun
only
playing
thing important in
with. That's
golf
what matters.
is what you shoot. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But if you have a goal to get a new club in your bag, then I'm sorry, it has to be relative to a score.
Yep.
And I think a lot of that comes too that don't be afraid that I'm allowed 14 clubs in my bag. Well, if I play the same course all the time, then I find myself at these various yardages here, maybe I don't need certain clubs on the tail end. Maybe I need more head covers. Maybe I need more wedges. So as long as they match my bag, I don't care how many I got.
Get plenty of furniture in that golf bag.
So,
Have you show and tell this week?
Yeah, we got some show and tell.
yeah.
What you got for us this week, Miles?
Hopefully, we got some championship rings on there.
Oh, speaking of which, Taylor Gooch had a video. And Liv gave him, since he was overall champion individual, they gave him a champion ring. And he was like, this is the coolest gift I've ever gotten.
That's cool.
That's cool.
It's sick.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Shank.
I just want to say,
all I can say is
you
we call
heard it. You heard it here first on this podcast. I said TaylorMade's going to start a company with Tiger.
Yeah, I mean,
Obviously,
100%.
it leads you to believe, where's the TW logo?
The writing,
Nike
he
has
doesn't
to
own it.
Nike has to own
the
it.
writing was on the wall. I was trying to figure out with all the little lines and everything in the cat
If it spelled
if
something.
it had like a TW or something, but I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I can't figure it out.
I think you said it before the podcast. I mean, it's 100%. This is just giving me Greg Norman shark vibes.
Yep.
Now,
It's just I don't
Hello?
like the logo. I don't like that logo.
Yeah.
That's a personal thing. I think Greg Norman Apparel has made a big jump. I think they make some decent stuff now. But
here's a what if. What if they don't release any red shirts?
It's red and black right there.
I mean, it's Sunday Red is the
What
company
if-
name.
what
What
if
if
it's-
they
what if
gotta
it's
have a red
only-
shirt in that lineup?
What if it's only red and black?
What if that's the only color?
I was gonna
It's
say
a light red, a dark red.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if you actually look at the business listings, it says lifestyle apparel, like little gadget stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're gonna have stuff for the golf course.
I know
too.
they're gonna have
It's-
stuff for the golf course.
It's a
but
golf apparel brand.
You
let's
can
face
tell
it.
this is almost like a.
I mean, you
like
could
a
say Greg
soft-
Norman is a lifestyle apparel brand.
True. Yeah, would you guys buy that?
No.
Put it on that shirt.
I
On the
love
shirt.
Tiger, but please don't do that.
But it leads you to kind of, I want to see the first line of clothing that comes out for them.
Yeah.
Because it's every manufacturer that has been introduced into the market, their
It's
first
gonna sell
product. Right. Well, no, I mean, their first
golf
product is
fans are
never as
crazy.
good. I get it. They got more money and they got everything else, but you're going to supposedly a new apparel company. What's the feel going to be? What's the look going to be?
Yeah.
Is it going to be nothing but mock necks?
Yeah.
I mean,
I say,
commit to it.
If
Commit
it's
to
that
it.
look there that they got on that picture,
Miles, you haven't been playing golf for a long time. Would you buy a golf shirt with that logo on it?
that's a no.
It depends. It has potential.
He had to think about it for a while. So.
I think you can make a cool hat with that logo.
Yeah, that's a cool hat logo, yeah.
I could see a head cover.
Yeah,
I don't see it on a golf shirt, but
Yeah.
it might not even be a golf shirt logo.
may not. Yet to be determined.
I also don't own a single TW logo golf shirt just because I don't like the fit.
Yeah, I only have hats. From like El Cardinal.
I don't think I've ever had any TW stuff.
All right, so what,
used to have a
what
white
rating
one,
are we
man.
giving?
I'm going to say it's a shank right now because we don't see it on any clothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shank.
I gotta agree, Shank. I mean, I'm sure they'll sell a ton of stuff.
I'm
Right?
saying
It's TaylorMade
my-
and Tiger Woods.
But
I don't know. I feel
right now it's a shank because I'm just going off the logo.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, a little orange whip action. What was he doing?
Okay, so I sent this to Miles. It's a I read a report about it and I had to see it to be true. A video came out. That's C.J. Stroud, quarterback for the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
Going to be a
Stud.
star. Just
Yeah,
absolute
stud.
stud. He warms up with an orange whip swing trainer.
Right, but he's a former baseball player. He was really super good. I mean, that right there, that's a baseball stance. That's a baseball.
Oh, he was swinging it like a baseball
correct.
bat.
So it's not like he's out there working on
And-
his driver's
and
swing
why-
speed,
and-
but
and
it is an orange whip though.
I thought it.
So-
I think this, and I'll look at this photo. Geez, a photo video. I was trying to combine the two.
Fitty.
I think this is I think this is a birdie because what he's doing in this swing trainer is just a coordination drill to get his body connected. His arms are doing something different than his lower body, and he's doing it continuously over time.
So he's practicing a releasing motion.
It's not a static.
Right.
It's
Well,
not
that's, well, you saw Dak Prescott a few years ago come out with his little, hip shape.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't realize the quarterback position and how important the hips are. You know, and just like you said, a rotational thing.
How often?
Golfers,
but how often do you step on the golf course? Your hips haven't moved like this once, and you try to hit that first drive.
Well, they're tight.
Never.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's just showing you that
You got to
if
stretch when
anything,
you get older, boys.
Well, yes,
you do.
Just showing if anything, like golf is an athletic sport.
It's coordination.
And it's just an athlete that's practicing his athleticism, coordination, and rotation.
Right. Where does the speed come from? You know,
Again,
From those three things.
correct.
I'm not going to free plug Orange Whip here because I'll be honest, as far as training stuff, I don't like to use it so much because how heavy
I don't
it
think
is.
it's necessarily just the orange whip,
But-
and it's not necessarily that it's like
I think
football
any
or
type of
golfing.
stretching mobility thing.
But I think what it shows golfers is you got to start thinking more as an athlete than just as golfers.
I'll have to disagree
compete.
with that. I think the weight helps build in rhythm and timing, which I think is so important in the golf swing. So I
for sure.
agree to disagree, but
Yeah.
And for all you local quarterbacks, we have plenty of orange whips in the shop.
Stop by and get yours today. All right, we'll give it a birdie.
If you, if you can throw it like CJ Stroud, you're going somewhere.
Birdie.
Birdie.
Good on this customer for coming in and maximizing
What he currently had.
What he currently has. You know, he absolutely loves those clubs, loves the feel of them, and then those BB and FCO ferrules look pretty mean with those grips, and that shaft is.
Nine times out of 10, we can make what you currently have a completely different golf.
I was like,
club.
this was actually one of my fittings, and this customer was it was a lot of fun actually. He came in, he had a very clear objective and goal, what he wanted to do, what he wanted to accomplish, and to that point, he had already kind of decided the shafts he wanted to switch to into his irons. We tried that, and he hit those up well, but what he struggled with the shaft he had picked was there wasn't really a weight option in that shaft that really suited his swing tempo and speed.
So he'd be sacrificing something.
He was making a sacrifice one way or the other to go in that shaft. So that was when we threw in this new Dart V here, US Team Mamiya Dart V, because it gave us a weight option that we didn't have in the other shaft. And it was immediate, suited his tempo, started flushing it. And so we did this build from there. But it was pretty fun.
Yeah. I mean, I was across in the other bay doing another fitting while this was going on, and the conversation, there's a lot of laughter because I think it was almost a light bulb moment. And they turned out great. Those great big Berthas, they're a great iron.
So they're a sneaky good iron.
They're a sneaky good iron. Yes, they are up there.
Yeah.
as far as price, but I mean, you just got to make your clubs work for you, and that's the most important thing. So clubs, flush, birdie, whatever we call it, shafts. I mean, I'm putting those shafts in my new irons. The grips, shank. But
to each their own. Wow.
But that's a personal opinion. They only have to feel good.
2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row.
2
We
weeks
had
in a row.
Super Stroke last week, golf prep this week. Sorry, guys.
That's a weird feeling.
Apparently,
grip.
Mickey just don't like grips.
If it's not leather, it's not on my clubs.
Yeah.
I just put a new grip on my putter.
You don't got to justify it. You
don't.
don't got to justify it.
I don't got to justify.
It's funny. I wouldn't picture
Wow.
that. I wouldn't picture the F4 shaft with that club head combo.
You wouldn't normally, but I mean,
Yeah,
But
that's what makes it so
it
great.
shows you
This
there's
way,
no one way to do it.
Correct.
But this is, and like Caleb was saying, because a lot of the companies in graphite, they only go to 105, and these new Dart Vs, you can get 90x flexes in these iron shafts.
Which, by the way, you cannot get this shaft from Callaway or from really Indie
So it's a fitting studio exclusive.
It's a fitting
shaft.
studio exclusive. So you have to find someone that understands how the shaft operates. But it's
Overall rate.
Flush.
flush.
Yeah, flush.
Yeah.
We took something that he's had for a while and made it
We took something he already liked, and he likes it better
way
now.
better.
Yeah.
Okay, those are cool. It looks like dragon scales.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Opinionated, what do you think?
Let me marinate.
Let's marinate.
It could also be
I think it's fish scales.
could be like a redfish scales.
Yeah.
It's scales of some sort. I don't think it really matters what kind.
As long as they leave it like that and don't do any paint fill, I think it'll be all right.
You got to have some green paint fill in there.
I'm gonna keep
Plus, I need to see the ferrule combination with it before I make any judgment.
Yeah, if you put a
all the way
stock
around.
ferrule on this,
Yeah.
bogey, shank, mix. But I'm gonna keep this consistent. I said it because when we had that P790 that had the Mustang, like the fighter jet kind of paint out, I said it was a shank if it's on one club, since it was like a 3-iron. Or I mean, it's a flush. It's a shank if it's on other clubs, because that's just a little too much.
Yeah.
Now, since this is just on the irons and on the same spot, I'm gonna kind of flip it a little bit. This wouldn't look good on one iron.
So you said you're going to be consistent, but now you're going to flip it.
I'm consistently inconsistent.
I'm consistently inconsistent.
You know what that is? That's interesting.
Now.
That's interesting. I'm paranoid of a paranoid. It's paranoid of its paranoid. Shank.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. It's just, yeah. I don't know. Shank.
I'd like to know a little bit more of the background of the person and what is that? Is that
My nickname's Fleming.
is that a fish scale? Is the guy a big fish? Is that Boo Weekly? I mean, is it who has that that scale look?
The craftsmanship's
that
awesome.
actually
I think
might
it
be
is.
snake scales.
I think
actually.
it's.
You're right.
I think anybody that tries stuff like that. I mean, obviously
That craftsmanship's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to say
I'll say
flush
flush.
because of the craftsmanship and how different it looks. I think that's one of the reasons why we started doing BB&F Co. and all these different builds. We like to be different. I think this is another way of showing some individuality and style, and I really like it a lot.
I think because it's a pattern, like I think in this case, I think it looks a little more tasteful.
Yeah.
Like it could be like that P51 Mustang one we had a few weeks ago. That one looked to me a little gaudy.
Yeah.
But this this is almost
This
just
is more unique
yeah,
to the individual. You can already
customized.
tell.
So because of that, I think it's an aesthetic thing. It's a pattern. It looks like it's done well. I'm gonna give it a birdie.
I just want to know.
It's not quite what I would be my cup of tea.
I'd
or
like to
anything
see that.
If I was like a charter captain, this would be awesome.
Yeah, but I think it's cool.
I think it's. I mean, I think it's cool.
Different strokes for different folks.
It's his clubs. He only has to justify
Only one
it.
person's got to like it.
When someone tells me, it's like, I don't like the way your clubs look. I don't care.
that club will always be turned into the pro shop. Oh no.
Yeah, you don't have to put shaft labels on those.
Yeah, we know whose they are. But yeah, I'll give it a birdie.
Well, thanks everyone. We appreciate you listening. If you haven't already, turn on those push bell notifications.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, and we will see you next week.
Later.